and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. It is Thursday, the 30th of May, 2019. Tonight's topic, Bob Mueller's office issues a clarification. Last night we talked about Bob Mueller's press conference, which added absolutely nothing to the discourse other than riling up the Democrats for impeachment again. We're going to talk about why that is a huge mistake. We're also going to talk about a potential Democratic strategy that might be a winner, but they're not going to take that strategy that I'm going to recommend a little later on in the program. Now, yesterday we talked about what Bob Mueller did, and it became very obvious that he is a political actor. He did not come out and state the law to the facts as you would expect a prosecutor to do. And in fact, if he was an aggressive prosecutor, he would have brought charges, or he would have, and he said the reason he couldn't bring charges is because of that policy in the DOJ that you can't indict a sitting president. However, he still could have made findings. As I mentioned last night, he still could have made findings that there was either collusion and or obstruction. He chose not to make one on obstruction, and his findings was that there was no collusion. Now, the reason there was no collusion, as it seems to be coming out, was there never was any predicate to even believe that there was any type of Russia collusion. So now they're focused on, and it's all part of, you got to get him on something. He must be guilty of something. Now they have to get him on obstruction. And Bob Mueller was very clever yesterday in talking about Donald Trump in the negative, meaning instead of saying, which is what the United States is about, guilty until proven innocent, he repeated the foolishness, which would be moronic if it wasn't so frightening, was if we had thought he didn't commit a crime, we would have said so. Prosecutors, again, we talked about this last night, their job is not to exonerate anyone. Their job is not to find people innocent. Their job is either to bring charges, make findings, but it's not to say, hey, we couldn't say this guy didn't commit a crime. No, you either say you have evidence and you think it's substantial enough to bring the crime, to bring the charge or not. Unfortunately, what the media is doing, and many Democrats, they're trying to say that they're focused, they're latched on to the idea that Robert Mueller, Bobby Mueller, whatever you want to call him, did not exonerate the president. Again, now he already put this in his memo the first time, and they're focused on the fact that they're saying that, hey, Bob Mueller said we would have found him not guilty if we would have said it if we thought it, but we couldn't say it. And then he tried to, and this is where the clarification comes in, he tried to throw in an innuendo that, and if he really wanted to bring charges against Donald Trump, and he didn't say for obstruction, he just said in general, so it's almost like a catch-all that we probably could have got him on collusion too, but clearly he can't say that because the report says no collusion. But what he tried to do is to say, okay, we couldn't bring a charge anyway, indicating that, well, maybe we would have, but for this unconstitutional concept that you can't indict a sitting president. Now, we didn't mention this last night, but this was quite clear that William Barr mentioned that Bob Mueller told him and Rod Rosenstein, I think a few other witnesses, that his decision not to bring obstruction charges had nothing to do with that memo. And now here he is yesterday trotting it out. He's stating it as a fact. Yeah, you can't indict a sitting president according to this memo. And he made it out to be some type of constitutional issue, which it's not. It's only a guidance memo from the Department of Justice that says it probably would run foul of the Constitution. But it's not in the Constitution that you can't indict a sitting president, nor has it ever been adjudicated that you can't do that. It's just recommended that you don't. So if Mueller was an aggressive prosecutor, he could have brought the charges anyway, or he could have just said, I make a finding, leave it to the Attorney General, because remember, Robert Mueller doesn't prosecute anyone. He makes the recommendation. He works in the Department of Justice for the Attorney General, and he chose not to make any such judgment. But yet he trots himself out yesterday, reads from a speech, very interesting. He's quavering. He seems nervous, and I'm not sure why he's nervous. Well, I kind of can guess why he is nervous. And he says that, if it wasn't for the Constitution, we really can't bring these charges, and maybe Congress can do something. So, the problem with what he said about the Constitution and not being able to bring charges contradicts what he told Bill Barr and Rosenstein, that did not factor into his thinking. So his office, not only did the Department of Justice spokesperson and a spokesperson for the special counsel actually have to release a statement backtracking and trying to pigeonhole what he said to make it consistent that he wasn't saying that I would have brought charges but for the Constitution. He was just making a statement of fact that's the fact. But of course he put it in there for innuendo. But here's what they wrote. The Attorney General, Bill Barr, has previously stated that the special counsel repeatedly affirmed that he was not saying that but for the Office of Legal Counsel opinion of the Department of Justice that says you can't indict a sitting president or recommends that you can't do so, he would have found the president obstructed justice. The special counsel's report in a statement today made clear that the office concluded it would not reach a determination one way or another about whether the president committed a crime. There is no conflict between these statements. No, indeed, perhaps there's no technical conflict between the statements, but the innuendo was there. The innuendo was, we're just not allowed to bring charges against the president. Why mention that if the reason you didn't bring the charges had nothing to do with that statement, with that memo? You chose to raise that, to raise the question in people's minds that you might have done so. However, you already said to William Barr and Rod Rosenstein, and they've already gone out and told the public that your decision was not based on that memo, but yet you chose to raise the memo again. Now, the other thing I mentioned yesterday, and Bill Barr confirmed it today, was he also made it sound, Bob Mueller also made it sound yesterday like he couldn't even bring himself to a conclusion because of the Constitution. And Bill Barr said today on CBS this morning, said he could have reached a conclusion. That was my point, that the special counsel could decide that, okay, I don't want to indict because I'm going to follow this memo and this is policy of the DOJ. Now, he's already breaking policy of the DOJ by making stupid statements like, if we had thought that he didn't commit a crime, we would have said so. That's against DOJ policies. That's not the job of a prosecutor. But all of a sudden, he's bound to the policies of the DOJ when it comes to basically being a coward and not wanting to bring charges, and then saying it's because of the DOJ memo. He didn't want to bring a charge because he knew if he brought the charge, it would be challenged and they wouldn't have the evidence to support the charge. But what Bob Mueller, William Barr said today, which was what I was saying yesterday, of course he can bring, he could have made a finding. The opinion says you cannot indict. And if Bob Mueller wanted to follow that, because the president's in office, but he could have reached a decision or made a finding as to whether there was criminal activity and given his reasons why he thought so. Instead, he chose not to do that. So what Mueller did yesterday was he tried to, without adding any new information, try to frame what happened in such a way that it made it look like Donald Trump is probably guilty of collusion with Russia and obstruction of justice, and but for this memo, he would have indicted Donald Trump. So now, Democrats, you go off and you impeach the president on this basis. Now, here's the problem with all that. One of the things Mueller didn't do, and which is pretty obvious, but what they're doing is they're focusing on the obstruction part, which really begs the question, what was he obstructing? Well, Trump was pleading his innocence and trying to stop an investigation of something that never happened, and Mueller seemed to have no interest in figuring out why, because I'm sure he knew it was a setup to begin with, why this investigation had started in the first place. And he's nervous now that William Barr is now looking at all this. And I would imagine, I would, if I was involved in this, I would have Bill Barr look at the Mueller investigation, how it was conducted, what they looked at, when they looked at it, internal memos, and when they decided there was no collusion, and whether they just carried on in order to do political damage by putting Paul Manafort in solitary confinement, doing a pre-dawn SWAT raid on Roger Stone, and trying to create circumstances where Donald Trump might trip up so that if they can't get him on collusion, which they knew they weren't going to get him on, they can get him to commit obstruction of justice or perjury. And I think that could also be viewed as an abuse of power. Now, here's the problem that the Democrats have, and this is my advice, which they're not going to take. I want to see what you guys think about this, is every Democrat has either decided that now we need to impeach, which, first of all, is a losing battle. They're not going to win 2/3 of the Senate on this. You have to have a crime. You have to have 67 senators vote to convict. Just raising impeachment is like bringing another charge. Well, this whole thing has been raised by the collusion issue has been examined every which way for 6 ways to Sunday, as Chuck Schumer would say. And Mueller report has found no collusion. The congressional and Senate investigative committees have found no collusion. Now they're just focused on obstruction. And the reason they're focused on that, rather than saying to themselves, why did we have this big investigation into Russia anyway? It's obvious that they're just using whatever the next potential trick is or artifice to go after Donald Trump. But here's the problem. We know that they're not going to get the impeachment. That's just going to rile people up and say, yeah, we impeached him. They did that to Bill Clinton in 1999, 2000. And they actually found that he had done a lot of things wrong, and they still didn't remove him from office. In this case, they haven't found that Trump has done anything wrong. Bill Clinton actually had to admit he did things wrong. He lost his bar license. But in this case, they're not going to win this one. But here's the issue. Here's what they should do. But they don't have any statesmen in either party, really. But the way to beat Donald Trump is not by cheating. They've already tried that. They have been trying to cheat him because they're upset, in my mind, that they lost. So we heard about the insurance policy, and if he gets in, we have this Russian collusion narrative we can go after. Then they had the special counsel appointed that James Comey, the former FBI director, after he got fired, set into motion by leaking his memos to a friend so they can leak them to the newspaper. And then Rod Rosenstein appointing Mueller, and then Mueller appointing Democrats and Hillary Clinton supporters. It was clearly, from the beginning, spying on the Trump campaign to get him. And then after he became elected, they tried every which way to do recounts, to tell the Electoral College, you shouldn't vote for Trump. Then when he got in, they came up immediately with the Steele dossier. Prostitutes were peeing on the bed. Look at the information we have. They went after General Flynn, and even Comey said, yeah, we took advantage of the fact that we just went over there and started asking them questions, and we got them. So here's the problem that I think that the Democrat candidates have. Every last one of them, whether it's Cory Booker or Kamala Harris or Elizabeth Warren or Beto O'Rourke, they're all saying he's got to be impeached, he's got to be impeached. And they're not really thinking very straight. If I were a Democrat and I wanted to win, I would never fight a battle I'm going to lose. That just gets people excited, because even Bill Clinton, even though he got nailed for things, it cut against the Republicans, got hit for that, for actually, because they didn't get to take him out. They didn't get the votes in the Senate. Well, there's no way they're going to get the votes here, because there's not even a crime or a misdemeanor to go after him on. But that's not the point. It appears to the majority of Americans, once all this stuff comes out, that there was some cheating going on, that there was the use of the government to go after the president before he was president and then after he was president. And you would think that someone would stand up and be outraged at what happened and disassociate him or herself with what happened and say, what happened, the spying on the campaign, all the things that happened in order to discredit him, the independent counsel, that is an abuse of power, and I'm against it. However, just because Trump is a victim doesn't mean he should be president. And then, having done that and crusading for truth and justice in the system, and so that the FBI and the CIA are not used by the party in power to go after the other candidate's the other party's nominee, and then eventually the holdovers going after Trump as president, make the point that you're for good government and good, proper use of the alphabet system, meaning the FBI, the CIA, all those agencies, that you're going to clean them up. But that doesn't mean because Trump was a victim that he should be president. And that, I think, is the only way the Democrats can win, is to come out and join forces and say, this was a mess. But you see, they've aligned with the fact that it's do anything necessary to win. And you still see the people are saying things like, but Mueller said he couldn't find Trump innocent. If he was innocent, he would have said so. Someone should stand up and say, that's not how it works. I know you want to use that because you're against Trump, but if you think that through, you would never want to be yourself or your party in a position where you're relying on the FBI or the CIA to say that you're innocent. But they don't care because it's Trump, and that's a mistake. And I think if a Democrat stood up and said, this is outrageous, and showed the same type of outrage that Trump is showing, then that would take Trump's victim status right out of there, and then attack him on whatever issues you want to attack him on. We can beat him without cheating, but that's not what they're doing. They're aligning themselves with whatever is against Trump we're for, even if objectively we would never be for a standard that says, well, if we could have said he didn't commit a crime, he would have said it, but we didn't do it. And the other thing they're doing is, now that Trump wants to declassify documents, which doesn't mean disclose them all, it just means declassify them, the media and the Democrats are saying this is ridiculous, they shouldn't do that. Now, you would think the media is always for more information, except here they don't want more information, because they know if there's more information, that what's going to happen is it might make some of the people in the FBI, the CIA, and the Democrats look bad. So they don't want that, which means that they're not really journalists. It just means that they're taking a side. And it's the same with the candidates. The candidates, if they really wanted to, or a candidate, stand up and be a statesman, say, absolutely, I want to know what happened. Because you don't want to win by cheating. If you want to have the moral ground, you want to go around and tell people that you're going to do what's right, people have to trust you. If you're going to win by cheating, that's what I would say. If I was a Democratic candidate, I would be very clear that I did not win by cheating, and I'd want to get to the bottom of this too. All right, let's see what you guys think. By the way, tomorrow we'll get back to, this is over. They're going to try to keep pushing this. What's happening now, the next act is going to be all about whatever Mueller and Uber and all of the investigations find into how this all started. And that's why they're panicked. And really, strategically, what they should be doing is joining on that and then bifurcating where they agree with these findings. That doesn't mean they support Trump, but they're not going to do that. They're going to do whatever Trump is for, they're against. And all right, but anyway, tomorrow we're going to do, we got a lot of crypto stories to catch up on. So Friday night crypto with Smaulgld, Saturday will be Saturday night silver with Smaulgld, and Sunday a lot of gold stories that we've got to get to. Solid gold Sunday with Smaulgld. Let's see what you guys are thinking, and you're looking straight at. There's your way to donate, so have at it. Thank you very much. Go to smaulgld.com, buy your mugs, stack your mugs, donate by Bitcoin, Litecoin, by check, PayPal, Patreon, Subscribe Store, any which way, all appreciated. And let's see what you all are saying in the comments. All right. Phil McCain, real estate, silver, gold, and now legal commentary. I've always done legal commentary, Phil. Not very often, but it's hard not to. But all right, he needs to update the mug so we can buy new ones. Yeah, I gotta do some type of new mug. That's true. All right, who else have we got here? Ken Singsta says, "What's up with Bitcoin spiked to 9K and immediate pullback?" Yeah, it was amazing. It spiked up to 9K and then it dropped down to 8K. That's just the nature of the of cryptocurrency. There's small markets, and if you think about it, there's how many exchanges out there? So many different exchanges, dozens of them all around the world, and the amount of Bitcoin that actually trades, there's not even 21 million coins right now, so they haven't even all been mined. They've mined like 17.75 million of them. They mine and a lot of them, maybe 4 million or 5 million, are lost. So there's probably 12, 13 million coins out there. Most of them being held in cold storage, either by the exchanges or by whales who hold them or individuals that hold them. So there's probably, I don't even think there's a million that are even available to trade. So it doesn't take much. And I guess what happens is when that spike happened, I'm sure there's a lot of people who had sell orders in at 9,000, because that's a pretty big number, especially people bought in the 3,000 and 4,000 range. If I'm out of here. And then what happens is there are a lot of people who do technical trading. The price falls. If it falls fast, then it triggers other sell orders. So I think that's pretty much what's happening. I don't think that the actual number of Bitcoins traded hands was that big. But that's one of the things that BitMEX has mentioned, and one of the things that the SEC has an issue with is the lack of transparency in trading, the ability to manipulate, and also not just the ability to manipulate, but a lot of the trading is just plain fake. And Bitwise noted that there's probably only 10 exchanges that actually have legitimate trading, but as I said, there's so many other trading exchanges out there. Philip, thinking about starting a chemical engineer channel. Well, that's nice. Set this here. It's good to have him here on the live show. I'd be interested in how that Abra works. Seth says I have 300 more in cash sitting in Abra. Not sure when to buy again. And so Ann has set up a auto buy on Coinbase. I wonder what you've set up. Is that for Bitcoin or for which coin? Oh, you guys are talking crypto. Let's see. Pablo Pena. Trump mentioned a lot of harassment on the presidency, most ever. Well, look, I would think that it is the journalist's job to question everything the president does. It's also their job to question everything that the FBI, the CIA, that everyone does. I mean, that's pretty much their job. They're supposed to keep, at least I think the purpose of journalism is to keep people honest. Now, so for example, you could be pro-Trump or pro-gold, pro-silver, whatever the thing is. That doesn't mean you don't look at the things critically. So for example, people think I'm against gold and silver because I don't criticize gold and silver. I criticize the pumpers. It's the same thing with, you can like used cars, but you don't necessarily like used car salesmen because they're BSing you. And it's the same with the gold and silver pumpers. That doesn't mean you dislike used cars or gold or silver. But you have to, I think, as a journalist, which I don't think I'm a journalist, I'm more of a commentator, but I think that you still have to look at things critically. And they don't. They just took the view in all of this. They have no curiosity whatsoever. They don't want to get anything declassified. They don't want to know how this all started with the Russia probe. They just want to be against Trump, and they want to focus on statements like that Mueller said that if we were confident he didn't commit a crime, I would have said so. It's ridiculous. All right. Tossing Molotovs. I was thinking of setting up a website called I'mARussianAgent.com and lampoon Democrats. How does that sound? Like you'll get arrested. Says Ann. All right. Let's see if we got anything else here. Mint Mark. Democrat Party seems to be going socialist, but they say Trump was colluding with Russia. A socialist country shouldn't that be a good thing? That's a good thing, says Bernie. Yeah, I don't understand this. I mean, the real threat to the United States for espionage has... I mean, if you think about what they say Russia did, they bought $160,000 worth of Facebook ads. So what? I mean, yeah, it's an issue, but it's not on the biggest scale. China, 2 years ago, hacked into like 12, 15 different federal agencies. And China is a much bigger threat just as a competitor than Russia is. It's very strange how they focused on Russia. So now Shark Air says, if I can get elected by cheating, I'll take it. Yes. But if it was obvious, Shark Air, that you were cheating, it'd be very hard to get elected. That's my point. That if you're going to run for president, like Beto O'Rourke or Kamala Harris, on the basis that you want to impeach Trump, what that means, if he does get impeached or you drive him down, that somehow makes you good? No, it means you win by default at best, or you win by cheating. And I don't think that's the way to win. I think the way to win is to call out the same things, maybe not agree with everything the way Trump is calling it out. But if it looks like it's heading in that direction, you have to show your outrage as well. But that doesn't mean that you're for Trump. It just means everyone should be against injustice. And that takes a bigger person to do that. They're all closing ranks and they're agreeing with statements like, but Mueller said he couldn't exonerate Trump, so he must be guilty. Do you really want to adopt that as your point of view on how the justice system works just because you can apply it against Trump? It's very bad. All right. What else do we have? Smaulgld, please comment on why, this is JB Wentworth, people would buy private crypto coins such as Starbucks, Amazon, why it's better than using a debit credit card. All right. So the big coin that they're talking about now is Facebook coin. And the reason you would use one of those coins, I'm not saying personally, or I'm not advocating use of the coins, is if a company issues a stable coin and it is backed by their own dollars, and so that's what a stable coin might be, and they set it up so that you can use it for payments on their platform. Well, then they can avoid the fees that are associated with a credit card, and presumably can pass on some of the savings to you, and then it's easier for you to just top up your stable coin with the merchant who is issuing it and then use that coin. So it would make sense to do it. Now, the downsides to having those types of stable coins is you have to trust that there's the dollars backing them, or that they're accepted in places other than just, and they'll build all these ramps so you can exchange them amongst other coins. That's the theory. I think that's how they're bringing cryptos into the mainstream of payment systems. But the other issue I would have with a Facebook coin is if they can kick you off Facebook or suspend you, or they could probably turn off your money too. So that would be, to me, the biggest reason not to. I'd rather have my dollars and my bank account and my debit card, and Visa can kick you off the debit card too, or the credit card. But generally, if you have cash, even Modi, I mean, in India, they kicked them off cash too. They demonetized the notes. So, but the issue is a private company can say, we don't want your business, and we're going to suspend your use of your tokens. But the upside, or the reason you would use them, is that it would be convenient and you might avoid some fees. And that is actually the advantage. Once you move into the digital realm and you get past the idea that it's not hard money and it's not backed by anything, I would say that Bitcoin is better than a Facebook coin or an Amazon coin or a stable coin issued by some other entity or a fiat currency, because in all of those instances, the issuer has control and can shut you down. They can kick you off the system. They can seize your funds. They can demonetize your notes. Thing about Bitcoin is when you have it, no one can tell you, there is no central person who can say, we're not going to let you have those Bitcoin. we're not going to let you use them. They're not going to be worth anything. We're going to shut you out of the system. The only way they can shut you out of the system would take great effort, and they couldn't just do it to you. They'd have to shut the system down, which is a much bigger deal than just, for example, if Facebook just wanted to freeze your funds, they can do it in a minute. They just go on the blockchain. Oh, there's. Okay, boom. Shut that guy off, and he's done. Just like what India did. They could say, oh, any bill that was issued before today is no longer valid. Well, that's pretty easy to do, and because the government says so, and then that cash is no longer valid. They can't do that with Bitcoin. All right. Lewis, I can tell you about Abra next time. Okay, good. Good. Be interesting to find out how Abra works. Anne says she's got a ton of Litecoin. That's impossible. It doesn't weigh anything. All right. Where's Barry? Trump is tariffing Mexico until they stop immigrants traveling to their country 5% to start and increase until they do something. Is that the new announcement? He said today he was going to make his biggest announcement yet on the border. Did that just come out? Where's Barry? Is that the... Okay, there it is. For real. Just announced. Yeah, he said he's going to announce it tonight. Or I just listened to him on the thing before I got on here. Or he was going to do it tomorrow. Let me see if there's a tweet before we get off the line here. All right, let's see if he tweeted it or if it was something. Usually he tweets it too. My Twitter's a little slow here. But, all right. Let's see what we got. Yep, here it is. All right, I'll read it to you. 9 minutes ago, from Real Donald Trump. On June 10th, the United States will impose a 5% tariff on all goods coming into our country from Mexico until such time as illegal migrants coming through Mexico and into our country, STOP, stop, uppercase, letters, all. The tariff will gradually increase until the illegal immigration problem is remedied. All right, let's see if we have any movement in the gold or silver on that. No. Silver's up a penny. Gold is up $1.40, so it doesn't look like that impacted. And then he says at which time the tariffs will be removed. Details from the White House to follow. All right. Well, thanks for letting us know that. Where's Barry? Breaking news here on Smaulgld. All right. Let's see if we got anything else left. And Scotty-O is late. That's correct. And we're ready to go then. So I'm going to turn it over to Bernie. Unless you guys got any more questions or comments, he's going to give you the 10-second Bernie countdown. And then we'll see you tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, we've got a lot of crypto stories. So if you're not interested in crypto, don't check in tomorrow because I probably only talk about crypto maybe over an hour. Saturday night will be just silver, probably just an hour. Gold Sunday night. So I've done that on purpose. There's people that like all three. There's people that like 2 out of 3. There's people that like 1 out of 3. There's people that like hate one, not the other. People that hate both, not one. But this way, you at least get your full dosage of Smaulgld focused on one of your favorite assets. I'm agnostic. I don't believe in asset worship. But there are many people that really... Never mind. Okay. So, Bernie, what do you have to say?
Okay, Lewis, so I think tonight that I'll give them the 10-second countdown, but I want to thank you for mentioning what Trump is doing on the border, which is illegal, and he should...
Hey, Bernie, give us the countdown.
All right, sorry. Okay, so the 1%, 0, have a good night.